Yesterday, the BC Liberals took dead aim at the BC NDP's platform and what they see as billions and billions of potentially new debt and deficits should the NDP come to power. Having run 5 consecutive balanced budgets, BC Finance Minister Mike DeYoung had a press conference yesterday to highlight what he and the BC Liberals see as, quote, deceit from the BC NDP's platform.
The suggestion that these promises that are coming fast and furious from Mr. Horgan and the NDP can be accommodated within a balanced budget, absent massive tax increases, is simply absurd. As I think a leading member of the NDP did just a few moments ago, and say, oh, it's just going to carry on as usual, well, that's absurd. That's either misleading or an indication that they simply don't understand the magnitude of what they are proposing and the impact it would have for British Columbians.
I like DeYoung. He's everything you want in a finance minister. Dry, somewhat boring, and he's clearly on the conservative side of the BC Liberals coalition, harkening back to when he was brought to the party in the 90s by Gordon Campbell. You can tell DeYoung is proud of the fact we've had balanced budgets here in BC, because what we see across the country, and in Alberta in particular under the NDP, is massive deficits in just about every province, or in the case of Quebec, a balanced budget on the backs of transfer payments from the West. But this is an election, so we must take everything these political parties put out at this time with a grain of salt. The BC Liberals have focused on NDP positions to freeze BC Hydro rates, ICBC rates, eliminate bridge tolls, and ending MSP premiums, and what that means for the books of the province and any revenue shortfalls. And then, of course, they speculated what kind of tax increases might be needed to make up the lost revenue. The problem with that, though? Well, the BC Liberals, too, have promised to eliminate MSP. And while the NDP platform says they will freeze BC Hydro rates for 2 years, the Liberals use numbers as if they would be frozen for full 4 years. Same with ICBC rates, who the NDP have indicated they want to review and only possibly freeze. I think that's unfair. But thankfully, so did Vancouver Province columnist Mike Smith, who was chomping at the bit to challenge DeYoung on this.
They have not promised a 4-year hydro rate freeze. You've got in here that they've promised a 4-year ICBC rate freeze. They have not promised a 4-year ICBC rate freeze. So you just said about the importance of people getting the facts. Why are you including this stuff when they haven't promised it?
Well, if you look at their platform, they're certainly indicating that they're going to freeze rates. I've heard them say 4 years. I've heard them say, well, what are they saying then?
Well, they're promising a 2-year freeze on hydro and a review of ICBC rates.
And
they have not promised a 4-year freeze.
And a freeze.
Why do you have that in there?
Well, so what are they promising?
Why do you have a $2 billion increase of costs for a 4-year ICBC rate freeze when they haven't promised that?
All we can rely upon, Michael, is the information that they have laid out in their platform, which is that they're going to freeze the rates.
Not for 4 years, Mike. That's not in the platform.
So have they disclosed what the rate will be in the 3rd year?
Why is it included in your presentation here today when they haven't promised that?
Because that's the cost that we can calculate. Well, in the absence of information suggesting what their rates would be, they've said they're going to freeze the rates.
Are you guys going to eliminate MSP premiums? That's your commitment too, right?
Well, you've got our commitment in the budget.
Things got a little testy there, as you could see, and I don't blame Smith for challenging the Liberals' claims one bit. Smith is one of the best mainstream print journalists left. One of the few good ones left, in fact. He calls it like he sees it and faces a wrath of supporters from all political parties, which is how you know he's doing a pretty good job. As I mentioned earlier, I'm very pleased that we run a balanced budget in BC, and we are indeed on track to eliminate our operating debt should the Liberals be re-elected next term. But the big open secret in BC is that during Christy Clark's term as leader, the capital debt in the province has ballooned significantly, as crown corporations like BC Hydro face a significant debt load. However, this is where I believe the BC NDP will cripple the province, and where DeYoung is correct in pointing out their plans to bring BC ferries and toll bridges, present and future, back as government reporting entities. So all of their debt load will be on the province's books, as they will no longer operate as commercial enterprises. That could see upwards of $9 billion alone of additional dollars of capital debt. And this could result in credit downgrades, and where the NDP need to come up with some real answers. But what is the BC Liberal plan for capital debt? Surely, being the party of free enterprise, they have a plan, right? Well, last election they told us the plan was to bring in LNG export industry that would fill the coffers of our prosperity fund and create a debt-free BC. That was the slogan on the side of Christy Clark's 2013 election bus. But that industry has not yet developed, so I asked DeYoung what their plan for the capital debt is if an LNG industry does not emerge.
Well, first of all, you've got to arrest its growth, right? And I can tell you it is our objective is to see it reduce, not increase. And as I've shown you today, that is not the approach the other folks would take. And you know, they continue to criticize us at the same time as making plans to add $18 billion in additional taxpayer-supported debt. Well, remember, everything we've accomplished so far, we've done without the major project investments. Now, we've seen some minor, some smaller projects proceed, but what we've been able to do so far, we've done without those major $20 and $30 billion investments. So that, and I've never included that in our numbers.
Look, I want an LNG industry as bad as anyone in this province. We have one of the largest deposits of shale gas in North America in the Montney Shale in the northeast of BC. But until those billions and billions of dollars in foreign investment finally arrive, I will remain skeptical to any plan to eliminate the capital debt in BC anytime soon. For the Rebel.media, I'm Christopher Wilson. Thanks for watching. We're going to keep a close eye on the BC NDP, the BC Liberals until Election Day, May 9th. Make sure you click subscribe on our new Rebel Canada YouTube page.